I want to bring up James O'Keefe now of theprojectveritas.org, and in a minute we'll play him this clip of the Austin City Council member saying, first we're going to register, then we're going to take your guns. But when I was talking to them about a month ago, I said somebody ought to go out to Piers Morgan's house and see if, he's got any bodyguards. And sure enough, he does. And he has Armed Response, which is a company that promises within 5 minutes to have an armored truck pull up with guys, with semi-automatic assault rifles and handguns. And sure enough, he's got that sign that guns protect his home. Just amazing hypocrisy. And, of course, none of the media picked it up. Infowars.com covered it. DrudgeReport.com covered it. WorldNet Daily covered it. Drudge Report, of course, picked up our story. But, James, good to have you back with us, my friend.
Great to be back with you, Alex.
What do you think of just the all-out hysterical assault on the Second Amendment and the unprecedented level of just lying about everything you're seeing and hearing?
Well, I think it's, as I was on your show last time, we talked about how they would not put a gun on their lawn that says this home is proudly gun-free. But now we're finding, armed response security system signs on the property of Piers Morgan's. This is his Beverly Hills property. And we actually confronted Piers Morgan in the street outside of his CNN headquarters and asked him if he would be willing to help sign a pledge to remove guns from movies if any movie led to the death of any young child. So what I'm seeing is just the people who want to take guns away are not willing to apply that to their own personal lives.
Now, we're going to roll some of this video for TV viewers out there that you guys shot. It's up at your Project Veritas site. If people want to see the whole thing, which I suggest they do, and share it. But for radio listeners, describe what your team did. Describe how you got the image of the fact that he has the sign saying he has an armed response security system. I mean, this is classic over-the-top hypocrisy. Yeah,
this was in a very, very expensive area of Beverly Hills, and we called the Armed Security Response Systems Company. That's on the sign to determine exactly what it means to be armed. And she wouldn't give me too much information. This is the spokesperson, but she did say that there is the option to have private armed security show up if the response is triggered, if the alarm is triggered. So it is definitely the height of hypocrisy. It's not a surprise. Most of these journalists are very anti-gun in their messaging, but in their personal lives, they turn out to be pretty pro-gun, actually. So I think we need to be doing more of just exposing the media's hypocrisy, because it is the media that is doing this.
Yeah, I need to put you in contact with a group that has surveillance footage of Piers Morgan. I have the footage, but I haven't run it past legals normally myself, but I wanted to have it checked before I did anything. Well, we've had it about a month. It's Piers Morgan behind the scenes shooting guns, talking about how much he'd love to live in Texas and have guns like this. And it's high-def surveillance footage of him, and I just haven't released it yet. I guess I've now released the fact that we have that footage. There's no end to it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's funny you're saying legal. I mean, we deal with legal issues all the time. We're very careful not to cross the line. I mean, we didn't release Piers Morgan's personal address, but we did look up property deeds. And incidentally, he's got a property in Calabasas, California, Beverly Hills, California. He works in New York. Some of them are registered under different names, but this is in a very ritzy area of Beverly Hills. But their paycheck is more important than the principles. They're not willing to live up to the courage of their own principles. In fact, personally in their own lives, they're very pro-gun, and then publicly they're anti-gun. So they're not only hypocrites, they're frauds.
It's pretty incredible to sit there and see this unfold. Do you think they're going to succeed? They say it's razor's margin in the Senate with this bill they've got, but they've set up this idea that every time there's a new shooting, it's gun owners' fault. Like every time someone gets stabbed with an X-Acto knife, like at Lone Star College in Texas, 12 people, it's the fault of anyone that owns butcher knives. I mean, it's just so asinine, but are they going to succeed with their war against reality?
Well, I think that one of the things that helps them is they say that it's for the children. And there's a lot of propaganda in the news about being for the children. They're always talking about children. And that's one of the things I think that we frame the debate in a very interesting and different way. This time around, we actually went up to these people and actually said, well, it's for the children. Edit out guns from movies. We try to make a point about the absurdity. But I think the fact that they frame it as for the children is really what takes it into a realm where you really can't disagree with them. And I think we need to be saying, what we want to do is for the children. We need to be, turning it on its head. But it's definitely out of control.
Our story is up at drudgereport.com right now for anybody that would like to go there under the image of the former Congressman Weiner. Police confiscating firearms from people taking anti-anxiety medication. Now they're saying, and the State House is talking about this, and of course that's the model of the country, New York, for gun confiscation, as they've bragged, that they are going to go after everybody's guns who's ever been on any anti-anxiety. If you've ever had a prescription for Valium 30 years ago, they're now digitizing those records. They're like, hey, you're stressed out. Quit drinking, take some Valium. A doctor recommends that. Or here, you had a car wreck or your wife died. Here, go on Luvox. And then you don't like it, you get off. And then they're going to say everybody is mentally ill and take their guns. Are you concerned this could cause a civil war? Because I'm here to tell you, Homeland Security is training for a civil war. They're preparing for a civil war, while Biden is saying that they're not, but they are. I mean, what do you, do they have dreams of grandeur that they could be like Hitler or Stalin?
You're asking me?
Yes, sir.
I don't know what exactly they're preparing for, but I think the priority for us right now, the priority for citizen journalists, is to take it directly to the media. Take it directly to Piers Morgan's front lawn. Take it directly outside of his office in Time Warner in New York. Take the fight right to these journalists because they control the message. Because
they're not journalists. They're not journalists. They were assaulting one or two pro-gun guys in Austin, and then on the news said they caused a problem at the anti-gun rally. And then they said, we're going to register. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. It's just they're so deceptive. I mean, they're the bad guys, is my point.
That's what people don't seem to understand. I mean, yes, there's a lot of government fraud and lying going on, but I think the priority is to take it directly to the journalists, take it to their doorsteps, take it to their companies, point out the hypocrisy in their personal lives, and that will ultimately discredit them. And it'll have a huge impact on any legislative battle because the media owns the message. So I think that the priority of Project Veritas is to highlight the hypocrisy of the journalists themselves. There needs to be more people doing that. I don't think they underestimate the power of our media, the power of the hypocrites at CNN and these other places.
Well, so CNN and all the media numbers that come out every month show this. All of the dominant media is no longer dominant. They're a shadow of their former self. I mean, Larry King 15 years ago had 10 million viewers some nights. When he left, it was 1.5 million, and now Piers Morgan's lucky if he gets 500,000. And I guess we just don't put on airs. Your videos are seen millions of times. My films have been seen hundreds of millions of times just on YouTube alone. I reach 1 million people an hour. That, by the way, is a very conservative number because I want to be conservative. 3 million a day, 15 million a week, one way or another. I mean, maybe I should dress in royal robes and wear a crown like these people basically do because they are the mouse that roared.
Well, they still have a lot of power. ABC, NBC, CBS News. They still carry an ampliphone and a megaphone, and I think that a lot of people, they do watch our videos, they do get the message, but a lot of other people are just sort of still watching network news. And
sure, but what I'm saying is, yes, you're right. They still have power if they all gang up and say the same thing in the same order. But even that's not working. I mean, you've seen the White House publicly admitting that, quote, Drudge is quote, causing them to not even be able to talk to anybody. I mean, one website has got them literally crapping their pants.
That's right. And but I think there's a lot of people are afraid. There's a lot of citizen journalists. Drudge was a pioneer, but a lot of them are afraid. And I think we got to stick together and break stories they got to force the media to talk. And the way that I've found with our stories, to force the media to talk about what we're doing and force them to cover it, is to talk about the media, is to expose the media and expose the fraud, like we did at NPR, like we did with the To Catch a Journalist series, like we did with the recent signs on the lawns of journalists like Piers Morgan. Go after, investigate the journalists, and I think you'll break through that media firewall and actually get onto some of these mainstream programs.
Exactly. That's what they're afraid of, is you exposing the man behind the curtain. And that's what the White House in memos and in public statements, some of them came out last week, and I'm sure you saw that, where the main chief advisor to Obama said, we can't control the narrative. And then he used Drudge as kind of a catch-all as the top of the pyramid. I mean, it shows they're not all powerful.
Yeah, they're not all powerful. There are cracks. There are cracks in their messaging system. But what you have to do is you have to force a consequence. You have to. And some of your reporting has. Reporting has got to force a government reaction, and that government reaction we picked up in the wires. That's what we do at Project Veritas. We did voter fraud investigations all last year. It forced investigations.
And they tried to put you in prison.
They tried to. They issued criminal grand jury subpoenas against me for exposing the fact that the Attorney General's ballot was offered to a complete stranger. They've tried to issue criminal grand jury subpoenas when I exposed dead people, where ballots were given out in the names of dead people in places like New Hampshire. But what happened, which is interesting, is that a couple states changed their laws, and then it forced the media to report on the fact that the laws are being changed.
That's right.
So they drag their heels because they don't want to talk about these. They don't want to talk about the facts.
They want to deny it while they get their takeover done. Stay there. Let's come back and talk more about how to get on the offensive with Mr. O'Keefe.
I'm Darren McBreen, and these are some of the new items that are available now at InfoWarsShop.com. Alert the public to Obama's blatant abuse of power with the new Obama t-shirt. Obama's Joker face on the front and come and take it on the back. It's time to publicly call him out for what he is, a tyrant. Defend the Second Amendment with our top seller Come and Take It t-shirts. And look at that, women's cut tank tops and t-shirts now available. Nice hat. Plus the Don't Tread on Me flag. And now you can become a micro distributor of the InfoWars magazine. Plus, get your own copy delivered right to your door each and every month. And if you're tired like I am of you and your family being exposed to polluted drinking water, get the Pro One high performance water filter. It gets rid of all pathogenic bacteria, cyst, fluoride, heavy metals, and numerous other contaminants. So join the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to control myself to not literally become crazed on air. And it's because I'm the type of guy who's real laid back fishing, laid back with my wife and my kids, real calm my whole life until somebody starts something with me. And then I turn into an absolute maniac. I mean, it's just my instincts. You come over and punch me in the nose, you may kick my butt, but you better get ready to be attacked 110%. Blackout time. And that's why I start hyperventilating and yelling and screaming, because these people are a bunch of lying crooks, butchering everything, and I'm sick of them, and I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of all their memos saying they're going to ban our guns once they register them. They've done it all over the world. They've done it in New York, Chicago. And then I send my crew out to the anti-gun Bloomberg thing here in Austin, and they've got the mayor pro tem up there that flies around with the globalist, with the police chief who was with Obama and Biden yesterday, saying as they had people slap and hit and grab. We showed the video earlier. The reporters, the citizen activists that are out there with a sign saying, no gun ban. And then the news says the pro-gun people caused a disturbance. They lie about that. And then they say no one wants your guns in the newscast, and actually show Martinez, who said, hey, your sign, that we're not taking your guns now, but after we finish this work, we are. And then we're going to get your guns. So you're going to need that sign. Here's the clip. I want to get James O'Keefe's comment on this and talk about what's coming up next with the ProjectVeritas.org. Here it is.
Austin City Council Member Mike Martinez.
Thank you so much. I've got a proclamation on behalf of the Mayor and City Council that we want to present, but I want to say a couple of words, and I'll be brief. First of all, to the gentleman that's dying for attention, someone needs to inform him that there is no gun ban currently, but because of the work that we're doing here today, we will make your sign legitimate shortly. So you hang on to that.
And he's somebody that's called for taking the guns. So that's from a larger report I did. James, what do you say to that, where they'll admit they want to get the guns, but then they lie on the news and say, oh, we don't want your guns. We come in peace.
I would go to that. I mean, Saul Alinsky would say a tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. But when it comes to that guy, I'd love to go to his house and offer one of our "This home is proudly gun-free" signs. and see if he'd be willing to live up to his own book of rules. I doubt he'd be willing to do that.
No, I know a little bit about the Martinez family from folks I know. Reportedly, they pack the heat. But I guess he just wants our guns. He wants to be the only guy with a gun.
He probably wants to, a lot of these people, it's guns for me, but not for thee. So it's really about aristocracy, and it's about the elites versus the people, and exactly. So we need to expose that. Our reporters need to expose the aristocracy, the elitism, and the disconnect between the people in power and the people who aren't.
I know you're always doing big stuff. What's coming next?
We've got about 5 major investigations. We've got something on Bloomberg. We're working on some federal programs. Some other stuff I can't even talk about. I mean, I'm going to be releasing a book in June. It's called Breakthrough. It is an adventure story about all the things we've done, all the various government organizations we've infiltrated, and the reaction, and how to survive. It's a hopeful story. How to survive.
What a great book! It's a blueprint on how to become real citizen journalists like you've done.
It's a hand guide. It's a field manual, and how to break through the media firewall. It's really important, not just to break stories that actually get covered by the. So
Saul Alinsky dedicated his book to Lucifer, How to Use Deception and Evil. They use that. You're writing a handbook, How to Use Good, dedicated to God. We'll be right back in 60 seconds with our guest. I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com. You know, I know that James O'Keefe knows Glenn Beck, been on the show a lot, and I think Glenn Beck does a lot of good work. My wife calls me this morning. I'm driving into work about 9 a.m., and she goes, hey, I just tuned into Glenn Beck on local radio on your local affiliate, and he's talking about how they're going to take everybody's guns who's ever been on any type of anti-anxiety medication. And I said, yeah, that's our story from last night. So I pulled over, and I already knew. And I went to Drudge, and there was our article. It's on Drudge right now, middle column. And I tune in, and he's reading it still. This is like 3 minutes later, going back to pieces, not saying it's from Infowars.com. And, you know, here's the deal. And then not saying it came from DrudgeReport.com. My issue, maybe I missed it, but it's any time I tune in. You know, we don't copy him, he copies us, which I don't mind if he didn't attack us. See, I've got James O'Keefe on here because I just want a future for my kids. I think the guy's a hero. I think he's a model for all of us, like We Are Change is. And I've done this trailblazing work. Copy us and do it better. This is how we're going to beat him. That's why when his book comes out, I'm going to buy thousands of them and sell them on Infowars.com. I'm ranting here. I didn't mean to go off into a Glenn Beck thing. It's just that we need more people to fight this tyranny because these are real authoritarians. Knowing them as good as you do, knowing how criminal they are, do you think I'm wrong in saying this is really a dangerous group of people?
No, Alex. You know, I've lived it. I'm one of the. There are a number of us who've lived through it, but I mean, I've been detained. I've been sued. I've been slandered. I've gotten defamation settlements from journalists. I've been through just about everything you can go through in your 20s. And what I've learned is that the most important thing is to keep going, is to not stop. That's really. They can't. I mean, I'm a Christian guy, so I mean, I'm not worried. I'm just trying to expose things. What we don't have enough of is we don't have fact finders, and that's what, you know, Drudge is great. He links to new stories, new information. You put out one fact, it seems like it gets consumed by so many different blogs. So my message is to get citizen journalists to go out there and not be afraid and expose new information, new content. We need more content. We have plenty of distribution platforms. Now we just need new content, and that's what my book is going to be about. It's going to be about how to survive the machine and make a difference.
Hey, what do you, all the things you've learned, all the knowledge, transferring it to others, invaluable. I'm telling you, I'm excited to read the book. That's why I'm foaming at the mouth.
There's actually, like the Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, you said he dedicated it to Lucifer. In many ways, I kind of, half-heartedly dedicate this book to Saul Alinsky, because I learned a lot from people like Saul Alinsky and these community organizers. They used to organize people for power, to overturn the republic, the democratic idea. And what I'm doing is using those same community organizing tactics to organize like-minded citizen journalists for power.
And you're using the truth instead of lies. Well, see, I haven't read your book yet. You're going to send me a copy. I guess there's not even copies out there yet. But you notice I peered into what was happening because I get what you're saying. Maybe if you still have time to change the forward, make the joke about dedicated to Saul Alinsky, but no, not really. He dedicated it to Lucifer. He used lies. We're using truth. I dedicate this to Jesus Christ.
That's a very good idea. I'm actually finishing the acknowledgments right now, so I can add something to that.
Well, I don't mean to be a preacher, but there's your word of knowledge, my friend.
Thank you.
You have done well, Lord Vader. Hey, seriously, let's do 5 more minutes, or do you have to go? You got another interview coming up?
Actually, I just have to I got a couple of my guerrilla journalists in the field right now doing some videos, so I have to advise them. So I was going to call them at 2 o'clock.
Absolutely. All right, we'll get to that, and then we're going to have you back very soon to talk more about what's going on, because I know you're going to be breaking big news
We're going to be breaking stories all the next few months, so I'll be sure to...
On Bloomberg. We'll be right back. Thanks, buddy. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.